Hello everyone and welcome to the Beer Junkies. This is the first video in our two-part series of how to brew an American wheat beer. In this first part we're going to be going over the recipe design portion. So I'm going to start by walking you through the BJCP Guidelines and what flavor descriptors kind of tell us what we want to use regarding the malts, the hops, the yeast, and then even the water profile. So from there I'm going to walk you through building a BeerSmith recipe for an American wheat beer. Then we're going to design our water profile in the Bru'n Water software, which is a free download on Google. And then I'm going to show you our in-depth walkthrough, which is on our website, of the American wheat beer. In part 2 of this video, I'm going to walk you through our brew day on how to brew the American wheat beer. So without any further ado, let's get started. First things first, we're going to start out with the BJCP Guidelines. Visually, this is what you want to shoot for. The color can range from pale to gold with a white head, and you can have either brilliantly clear or have haze. We like to go somewhere in the middle with a slight haze, but we have that white head and we have that golden color. Overall, the BJCP Guidelines state that it is a pale, refreshing, grainy, doughy, or bready wheat beer with a clean fermentation profile, a variable hop character, and bitterness. Its lighter body and higher carbonation contributes to its easy drinking nature. What sticks out to me in this is that it is grainy and bready for the flavor descriptors. This lets me know that I'm not going to need too many malts. I'm probably going to only need a pale or a Pilsner base malt and then the wheat malt. Other than that, I won't need much else. The clean lets me know that for the yeast, I'm not going to want to use a German Hefeweizen strain. The German Hefeweizen strains add too much clove and too much banana notes, so I'm going to want to use one of the American wheat beer yeast strains. The aroma is very similar to what we just read, but the key things to take away from this are that it is neutral, low to moderate spicy and floral aroma, or a low to moderate citrusy and fruity aroma, but again, no banana or clove. For the spicy or floral aroma, you can, if you want, add a little bit of a German noble hop to get that towards the end of your boil. If you want the citrusy or fruity aroma, you can add a little bit of an American hop towards the end of your boil, but you do not have to. That's totally optional. And again, the flavor, very similar to the aroma. The light to moderate, strong, bready, doughy, or grainy wheat flavor. The same malt descriptors that we're going to want with the pills, the pale, and the wheat. Low to moderate bitterness, so you're not going to want to go too crazy. Probably going to only keep it around 16 to 18 IBUs for this style. And again, no banana, no clove. Use an American yeast strain. Overall, this is what we're going to shoot for. For the malts, as we mentioned, we're going to want to use the paler Pilsner for the base and mix it with the wheat. For the hops, if you want to do the spicy or floral, use a German Noble hop. If you want that fruity or citrusy flavor, use an American hop. And again, for that yeast, do not use a German Hefeweizen yeast strain. It will not be an American wheat beer. You will have way too much extra flavor coming from that yeast. The American Hefeweizen strains are very neutral, so stick with that. So now that we have our ingredients that we want to use, let's put them all together in BeerSmith to develop our recipe. Alright, now that we have the ingredients that we want to use, let's design our recipe. So I will start by letting me know this is our American wheat beer. And I'm going to change our style to American wheat beer so I can make sure that we are within those guidelines. So the first fermentable I want to add is a wheat malt. And I use one from Best Malts. And I am not going to want to have the same wheat and the same Pilsner. I want there to be a slight offset. I want to have a little bit more wheat malt just to make sure that that wheat flavor really comes through. So if I do about 55% wheat and then 44% Pilsner, it puts us right in the gravity range that I want, about 1050, about right in the middle there, with an ABV of about 4.9%, which to me is perfect. And then the SRM of 3.3, right where I want it. So then for the bitterness, very simple. All I will do is look for my favorite hop right here, the middle fruit. Let's see what 1 ounce gives us in 60 minutes. 14. I want a little bit more than that. What's that give me? 16.1. How about 1.25? Alright, that looks good to me. 17.5 IBU. And this is my recipe right here. 5 pounds of wheat malt, 4 pounds of Pilsner, 1.25 ounces of Hallertau middle fruit hops. And this will give me right in the range that I am looking for. So this is for a 5-gallon batch. In the video in part 2 of this, we are going to be brewing on a much larger version than 5 gallons, but the recipe will be the same, just scaled up. So from here, all I have to do is note this, and then what's left is to develop our water profile, so stick around for that. Alright, the last step that I have before I'm able to brew this beer is I need to build up my water profile. So for this, we use the Bru'n Water software, which you can find on Google. It's a free download. It is by far the best water resource that I've ever used. So first off, I input my grain bill into this grain bill input tab. I've got my 4 pounds of Pilsner malt, and I've got 5 pounds of wheat malt. I've got the color set, the percentage of grain bill. So this is all ready to go. Go over to my water adjustment tab, and I've got this set for a yellow balanced beer, which I've got the SRM colors over here for you to nicely choose from. So we use a reverse osmosis water filtration system. So I'm starting out with basically nothing in my water. So I have to add everything I need. So I'll come down here, and I've got our mash volume and our sparge volume, and then our total batch volume over here. And then I will adjust the salts as I need to get the profile that I want. So the two I'm going to use are gypsum and calcium chloride. We'll add 0.45 grams per gallon of gypsum and 0.38 grams per gallon of calcium chloride. And that will give us a profile of 64 parts per million of calcium, 66 parts per million of sulfate, 66 parts per million of chloride, and then we don't have to worry about the bicarbonate because we don't have to worry about the pH. The pH is already good over here, as you can see, at 5.43. Which I will check, but based off of this, everything is good to go. So while I'm filling up my mash tun, I will add these salts in to make sure that I've got the exact water profile that I want. If you would like to see everything that we just discussed laid out in a written version, feel free to visit our website, thebeerjunkies.com, and look at the American wheat beer recipe. It's under the recipes tab off of our main page. But we will go through the BJCP guidelines. We'll talk you through the malts and why we chose the ones we did. We'll talk you through the hop selection, and why we chose the bitterness that we did. It'll again show you that American Hefeweizen yeast and why we want that, our water profile, and then what we'll get into in the next video, part 2 of this, is the actual brew day. So it discusses what we do for the mash, how we boil, when we add our hops, and then our fermentation profile. So go ahead and read through this if you'd like, and then follow us on to part 2 of this video, which is our brew day. Okay, so we picked out our ingredients. We know what malts we want to use. We know what hops, what yeast. We know our water profile. So we're ready to brew our beer. Stick around with us to the next part to follow along with us on our brew day as we brew our American wheat beer.